What's going on, YouTube? I'm Rob.
And this is Nick.
We are back here, Coffee and Crypto. We got a market update for you. We are sitting at a Bitcoin price of $20,872. Oh, we just changed it. 2,000. Wait, $20,845 at the current price. We changed again. That's just how Bitcoin works. Maybe we're getting a little pump. But anyway, we're going to give you a market update. We're going to jump into it. But before we do that, please like this video and hit that subscribe button because it helps us out in the growth of our channel. And we're here committed to giving you crypto education and market analysis for the long term. So Nick, I know you have some interesting thoughts on where we're at. You mentioned to me about Bitcoin's close recently and the price. So we're going to go over the price, give you our predictions, and then we're also going to discuss some important news. So Nick, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Let's get into this chart over here. We're on the weekly Bitcoin chart over here. Something very interesting happened this Sunday. We finally closed a second week below the 200-day moving average. I don't think this has happened in Bitcoin's history. So the fact that we closed this weekly candle, the initial candle here is this big red candle, and then the second weekly close is right here, this kind of green spinning top. That kind of has me a little nervous, just technically speaking, because this hasn't happened. So we're also been kind of just consolidating in this bear flag formation again. And so not really much has happened since our last market update, other than the fact that we closed the weekly candle below the 200-week moving average, which is unprecedented. So I'm kind of throwing my hands up in the air, and we're kind of just chilling here at this level. Kind of just, it's a waiting game right now. And I know there's a lot of news events that have been happening this past week that Rob is going to talk about, which actually some of them sound kind of bullish. So we're getting mixed signals again. We got bearish technicals and we've got some bullish news stories. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about what you've been seeing in the news, Rob?
Before we do that, what's significant about the 200 weekly moving average?
It's just, it's this purple line right here. The 200-week moving average is basically the average price of the previous close of the past 200 weeks. And seeing a close below that, and actually I just want to talk about how it's kind of held this as support in the past. Like if we go way back here to 2019, see how it came down to the 200-week moving average and kind of bounced off it a couple times before we went into a large rally. Did the same thing right here in 2020. So a lot of technical traders and computer algorithms will look at the 200-week moving average and use that as buy or sell support or resistance. So technically speaking, it's kind of bearish, but you got me feeling pretty good, Rob, with a little bit of the positive news you've been telling me about. So we will see what happens. I'm still long the market. I haven't dumped any of my positions yet. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens because of the mixed signals that we've been getting.
So it could indicate a bottom signal, that 200 weekly moving average.
Yeah. It's kind of scary that we closed a couple candles below it, but the last several times that it's bounced below the 200-week moving average, it rallies hard. So we'll see.
All right. Before we get into the news, let's make some price predictions and market predictions for the next week or two. We're at 20,868 right now. I'm going to say we're just going to chop sideways in this area. If more bad news comes out, then I think we make the next leg out. The next leg down, that's anywhere from, in the 10 to 20,000 range. Otherwise, we could just chop sideways here for a while. But one thing I have seen is that there's a large amount of Bitcoin that has inflowed to exchanges recently. So maybe they're waiting to sell at a certain point. Who knows? But those are my price predictions. I think we chop sideways unless, some event happens, maybe the next unwind and sends us downwards.
All right. So one thing I'm looking at right now is I don't always have this pulled up on the chart. This is the volume by price. If I wanted you to talk about a little bit about the news. I'm just going to mention the one thing. If Tether does end up unwinding, there's been some news out there saying that some hedge funds are taking short positions against Tether. If that comes out, and that's like the largest stable coin in cryptocurrency right now, if that unwinds, I could see a capitulation happening all the way down to this support down here. I like to use this volume by price as support because it shows you where the largest amount of Bitcoins is traded hands. So that acts as a support. So we could dump all the way down here to 11 to 12,000 if we get a black swan event like Tether unwinding. If not, we've also got support at 20,000 right here, the previous all-time high. We've got support bouncing off of the 200-week moving average. So if the news stays normal to mildly positive, like the news events you're going to talk about, I think we could chop sideways before rallying. So it's really up to, like, it's a waiting game. We got to see what happens with the news.
Yeah, I agree. If things stay good, positive, neutral, then we could chop sideways until the next relief bounce or the next rally upwards, whenever that is. But he gave away the news too early. So I guess we'll just start with that. So came out recently that the Tether, I forget if it's the CEO, CTO, whatever he is, but he's, C-suite guy, top guy. He basically announced that it appears that hedge funds are shorting Tether to basically, you know, try and nuke it, because Tether has been under speculation. We don't know if they're 100% fully backed, fully transparent. They claim they are, but they haven't really been audited to where it's, transparent, where everyone can see that they are backed. And it seems like they're trying to short USDT to create some sort of arbitrage situation. But if Tether were to unwind, that would be pretty bad for the markets because that's the largest stable coin and the main trading pair on all the exchanges. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? If it does unwind, then that could really nuke things down, but maybe it might, clean things up so that we can move on to something more stable like, I don't know, USDC seems like the next best stable coin. They seem, more transparent and backed. But this Tether executive came out and put this whole long Twitter post up saying how, this is where we're backed. People have redeemed money. The price hasn't destabilized, basically stating all these reasons. We're shifting from, from this to make us even more secure. So they're defending their position, but who wouldn't defend their position, right? If he didn't defend their position, then, and was just silent, then that would create even more skepticism. So who knows? The guy from Terra Luna Duquan, he defended his position all the way until zero, and he's still tweeting out like at random times saying they're going to rebuild it and stuff. So you never know with these guys. Some of them are freaking, sociopaths. So who knows? But I hope Tether is legit for the sake of the market. So that's the first thing. A couple other things were in regards to exchanges and basically being acquired. So with everything that happened recently with the unwinds, and then just like the bear market, these exchanges and companies have been seeing a downtrend. So the first one, which we've talked about, is Celsius. They're a staking platform where you can put your money on, you get interest returns for keeping your money on there. So that whole thing blew open, and now Goldman Sachs is looking to acquire them. I think the price was like around $2 billion, something like that.
That's huge news.
Yeah. The reason why that could potentially be good is because Goldman Sachs is one of the largest institutional banks in the US, in the world, I would argue. And if a major bank is backing a crypto platform, then let's say we forget about Celsius and everything that happened, and that whole thing didn't exist. Would you feel comfortable putting your money on a platform that was backed by a humongous Wall Street,
Investment bank, it's huge.
yeah, huge institutional bank that has, a lot of money behind them, where we're basically like, it takes away the risk of, like something like this unwind happening because they have so much money behind them, protecting all their assets. And, if the price of Bitcoin goes down, they still have money to basically, support things from collapsing, and they're not going to over leverage.
Mhm.
So that is potentially bullish, because if Goldman Sachs comes in, acquires, then it is perceived that they're more secure, stable, trustworthy, credible, compared to just the Wild West, um, some crypto platform freaking lending out your Bitcoin without you knowing and over leveraging and nuking to zero. So that's a good thing. Then you have FTX is looking to acquire BlockFi, I believe, Robinhood, and they're also involved with Voyager now. BlockFi and Voyager were involved in the whole 3 Arrows Capital thing, where you put your money in their exchange, and they were lending out your money to 3 Arrows Capital. 3 Arrows Capital over leveraged, went to zero, and now they can't pay back Voyager or BlockFi. So now these companies are in distress situations. FTX comes in, gives them a line of credit. Here, I'm going to help you out while you're in this distressed situation. And, they're obviously not getting their money back from 3 Arrows Capital. So they're in this situation where they're vulnerable, and FTX is looking to basically take advantage of that and buy them out. Now, you also have FTX, who the CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried, he recently bought percentage ownership in Robinhood, the trading app. It's a very popular trading app platform on mobile. Everyone, anyone who's into investing has pretty much used it or knows about it. It's very widely used. So he's invested in that, and it seems like they've had some issues recently just with their earnings and whatnot. Now he wants to buy them. So, he is trying to basically expand his reach, acquire all these companies, and basically grow FTX and the brand. I don't know what his goal is with acquiring an app like Robinhood. If he's going to keep it, Robinhood, or mix in FTX or whatever. But it's interesting stuff. He seems like he's well positioned. He's a smart guy. FTX has a lot of, they're obviously a very profitable company to be in this position. So it's interesting times, because you can't do this when times are good, right? You only have these opportunities when things get bearish and companies are doing bad, and then you have an opportunity to buy them. So I think FTX is really well positioned. They're also behind Solana. They're also humongous backers in Solana, and they have a venture capital arm to them, which is called Alameda Research. So FTX is a freaking powerhouse. They have serious money behind them. The guy Sam Bankman-Fried is obviously a very smart businessman, and they're just looking to dominate the market. It looks like between FTX and Binance, those are the two leaders in the industry. So interesting stuff. I think the Goldman Sachs piece and Celsius is bullish, because it brings more credibility and perceived safety to a platform like that. And then FTX is obviously in it for the long term. So them acquiring these companies, and maybe they do some good turnarounds and improve the business model, make them more profitable, and make things better for the whole crypto market. So in general, I think all this is good, because you have people coming in and wanting to acquire companies because they're investing for the long term of crypto. So those are all good pieces of news. Um, Other than that, I think that was it on the news part. I mean, there's always something in crypto. Anything you want to say on that, Nick?
No, it's just to kind of wrap up our thoughts here. It's kind of interesting. We're in an interesting time right now, with the news coming out now is a lot more positive. Buyouts, like all the smart people are looking to buy right now. So, is that a signal to be buying into this technical weakness? I mean, it seems like yes, but it's kind of like I'm kind of neutral right now in the market, because we're seeing so many mixed signals. Um, but yeah, we just need to wait and see what everything. I mean, new stuff is happening every single day. We're getting more information, and we will continue to keep you all updated. As
There's one more
oh
thing.
wait, one more thing, Rob.
Solana Labs announced that they're releasing a phone, like an actual phone. Yeah, so imagine you have a freaking phone that's made by Solana. But it appears that that they're making an Android version phone, but from my understanding, it's basically like a phone for developers, so that the first generation of this phone, developers get their hands on, and they can start building native Web3 apps, so that eventually in the future, all the apps and tech on future phones are basically like interwoven into to being like Web3, and then you're using a phone where like everything is like natively Web3, but you don't even know it because it's already just like built into the software of the phone by this new generation of developers on Solana. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So it seems like their vision is like we'll get to a point where like you're using your phone and like all the apps and software on there is like based off Web3 technology, but it's just so um, like it's so well designed that you won't even know the difference, but the underlying tech will be there. So
More positive news. You want to wrap it up there, Rob? Or
we could wrap it up there.
all right, sounds good. Just as a final reminder, this is not financial advice. Rob and I are not financial advisors. So until next time, we'll see you.
Peace.